right, so we got 4 more episodes left.
We got 4 more to go.
What can we expect in these 4?
You can expect big.
Big?
Yeah, they're very big episodes. We would, as part of the writing process, you write an arena, which is like it's the first thing you submit, and you submit to the studio and network, and it's like 3 or 4 pages. You kind of tell a story, and each one, Eric Kripke, the showrunner, would go, okay, well, this is essentially unproducible, and that's even at the 3-page stage. So no, we just kind of went shaded our eyes and just kept flying forward. And what I'm very pleased is the show's really kind of hit its stride. If you kind of look at if you look at the show as a kind of like epic saga, these last 4 episodes are kind of the climax of the first chapter. So you can almost look at the first 2 seasons of the show as one chapter, and then these 4 will. Some of the things in these last 4 episodes actually harken back to the pilot, and then it spins us off into the next chapters as we start season 3.
Cool. So is there going to be another chapter after this, hopefully?
We sure hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, our fingers are crossed, yeah. Look, I mean, honestly, everybody's really excited about this show creatively. We've had to open a night for NBC, which is always tough. NBC is very aware of that, but they're wildly enthusiastic about the show. Cool. It looks like nothing else on network television, and that's really hard to capture that kind of lightning in a bottle. So we moved production to Austin this year. That's been a fabulous change. The cast is right in the groove. We made some really good cast additions this year. Stephen Collins, primary among them. So no, our mojo's totally working. So
sweet.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I get to do more. I get to have more fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't do it when I'm bored. I'm like the kind of person you don't want to be bored. So I tend to pick things that are very kind of big and exciting, and flawed and crazy and good.
Yeah, and so what's next for your character, Rachel, in the show?
It's a good question. She's been kind of on this, my dad's so funny. He's like, she's getting on this, her moral high horse. That's terrible. What is she doing? Have her go back to killing people. I'm like, Dad. Mom's like, I think it's wonderful. So I think that she's on sort of a moral track. She's really trying to make her group start to have a conscience, have herself have a conscience.
Well,
I like that.
It's more like trying to survive now instead of getting the power back on now.
Yeah,
right?
It's more about trying to survive, and it's more about trying to regain who she was before all this happened. And there's some revelations that happen that make Rachel feel differently about everything.
First Wondercon.
A Wondercon.
It is definitely.
So you've been to other conventions then?
I've been to Comic-Con once. Yeah.
Okay.
But this is, and I've been to only one in all my 35 years or so. I've only been to one Star Trek convention. That was great. I loved it.
Are you a big Star Trek fan?
Well, I was in the first movie.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's why I went. And,
I knew you were in Seventh Heaven, but I didn't know you were in Star Trek.
I was in the first Star Trek movie, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for your character? Your character's always dealt with his decisions and kind of torture, and it's like what's next for the Doctor?
He's, I think in all the characters on Revolution in different ways are mainly trying to live through the next 10 minutes.
No.
One of the things I love about the show is just the immediacy of the need to survive is so great that these characters can't sort of sit around and contemplate their navels too much.
Yeah.
They're literally shoving off and thinking, oh my God, here comes the next threat. And in the last few episodes, the Patriots are really, really amping up the threat. They're pulling out all the stops. And I know for Gene, he's weary. And there's part of him that doesn't believe he's got what it takes to keep surviving.
So he's questioning himself.
Yeah, and he kind of runs out at one point, and there's a scene I love doing with Elizabeth, where she kind of has to remind him why he can't give up. And I love that about the show, because the show's very difficult to make. And so as actors, we're weary and tired on a day-to-day basis. And it all kind of works for the show, because I can only imagine, I try to imagine how tired these characters would be, having just moved from And truly, it's funny, but I think one of the only things that would possibly keep you going is the love you have. I mean, for Gene, he wants to make sure that Rachel and Charlie stay alive. If he can help to keep them alive, then he's got a reason to open his eyes every morning. And that's really simple. It's not much more complicated than that. Keep those women alive.